So if you go online and visit barbershop.org, you're going to find a lot of information about the society. And I share some things with you and share a few clips and some little snippets that I think will be of interest to you, and especially those of you who have never done this before, who are just getting into this. Maybe even if Parkside's your only experience with harmony singing, barbershop at all, then there's a vast world over the last 70 years. It's pretty amazing. So in the early 20th century, male vocal ensembles were found in universities all over the world, like let's see if this is going to work here. The USC Apollo Men's Glee Club, okay, and some men sang with a really bright, brilliant voice, forward placement that, perhaps because there was no amplification at the time, or little amplification, as in this sound right here. Let's see if this works. So that vocal quality was characteristic of the men who formed the Barbershop Harmony Society in 1938, many of those men. Here's a clip of found at O.C. Cash from 1948.
It all started about 10 years ago when Tulsa, Oklahoma, with a letter of invitation that I sent out. Yes, we invited 14 and 26 guys practice parties showed up. And now we have more than 1,750 quartets in 474 chapters. Who made up your first quartet? Oh, I don't recall who it was, but it was the first four of the ride. I do remember that the first song that we sung was Down Mobile.
Down Mobile. So, choruses soon formed all over the United States, and the first contest and convention was 1939, and quartet champs were the Bartlesville Barflies from Oklahoma, sounding like this.
Where till the sun shines merry, Lindy, Lindy, sweet as the sugar cane, Lindy, Lindy, sit.
So the first chorus contest then was held in 1953, with the Great Lakes Chorus winning, and here's a clip from the 1958 chorus champs, the Dixie Cotton Bowl Chorus. Note the choreography at the end. That was groundbreaking, actually. Not kidding. They were so, choruses became champs, and the champs started to win repeatedly, and the thoroughbred chorus came on the scene and became repeat champs for the next 2 decades, starting in 1962. So the chorus contest becoming more popular. At the same time, there were other mainstream vocal groups popping up that featured close harmonies, such as the Four Freshmen.
As the days grew old and the nights passed into time, and the
and the Hi-Lo's.
How about you? How about the cozy fireside when the storm is due? I like the day.
Yeah, some barbershop quartets at that time were, they also had a really good ear for these modern harmonies, such as Melo's quartet, the Eastern Airs.
Stars in the sky.
And 1961 champs, the Suntones.
No, I can't believe your heart is cold. Maybe slow to warm.
There we go. So this was not traditional barbershop for that time especially, but close harmony that would eventually influence society ensembles for the next 50 years. And in 1975, where is Jay? Okay. The vocal majority from Dallas, Texas won the gold and surfaced as a new performance standard to emulate. And here they are in 1986, winning their 5th gold.
Right when the good ship property comes along.
That's the way to do it. Get that down for the next set. That was awesome. And they sang that song a couple more times in contests, one with it again years later. So along with the vocal majority came quartets, revolutionizing how we sang. And connecting word sounds together, placing the last sound of a word at the beginning of the next word. And in 1973, the Dealer's Choice became a vocal standard for this kind of singing. They were so good they won their first international out.
Oh, California, here I come, right back where I started from. Going back where flowers bloom in the sun. There's morning and dawn and birdies sing and everything a sun gives me.
So the singing's getting better. Choruses picked up on this and this improved vocal technique. And they started to sing better also. In the late 1980s, the Masters of Harmony Chorus formed in California. And directed by Greg Lyne, they soon became another excellent model to emulate. Yeah, some faces you recognize there. So this improved singing from the larger choruses became kind of the status quo. This was what we expected a chorus to sound like. And as the choruses grew larger, some of the smaller choruses with fewer members began to stick out and stand out, especially those that were good and had a cleaner, tighter sound. And the General Assembly Chorus in Dixie District was one of those, finished 5th in 1986 with just 51 men on stage.
Where I'm gonna be a star, yes sir. Yes, I am gonna be a movie star. Go on, yes, I'll be the greatest Hollywood big time star.
And compare that to the Phoenicians, who finished 4th that same year. They were groundbreaking with choreography and utilizing quick costume changes, things like that. the champs from that year, the Alexandria Harmonizers. All right. So the late 1980s, the late 80s saw just a lot of good stuff happening in society. And then also in the world, there were contemporary a cappella groups that were starting to kind of come back around. Kind of saw a resurgence of that, of mixed groups that were singing a cappella worldwide, such as Manhattan Transfer, Singers Unlimited, and the Real Group from Sweden. And groups featuring pop, rock, and oldies like Rockapella and the Alley Cats. This is not the original Alley Cats. I've known you 15 years, right? So, and also jazz, gospel type groups like the Great Take Six, featured here on a live broadcast from 1990, which I actually saw live that year, produced by Spike Lee. And here, listen how they talk about how they formed real quick.
Back in 1980, I formed a quartet at a small Christian school in Huntsville, Alabama, called Oakwood College. And we were rehearsing in the bathroom one day, getting ready for a performance that evening. And Mark Kibble came into the bathroom and added a fifth part to what we were doing, and then sang with us that evening. And then introduced me to Mervyn Warren, who joined the group, making it a sextet. And from there, we started building what we have now.
Sometimes we call the style contemporary Christian a cappella pop jazz.
I wanna cross over to see my Lord get away. Get away.
So many of these groups demonstrated that you could sing and ring chords, and with an excellent tuned sound by using a more pop-oriented kind of craft, which was quite different from the barbershop craft that was taught in most of the choruses and quartets. In 1991, a few men in Kentucky formed the Louisville Times, with musical leadership Mark Hale, David Harrington, Doug Harrington, Greg Hollander, and some other people. They focused on clean singing where singers match identically and in the section, and with a more relaxed kind of pop kind of singing approach to word sounds. So in 95, the Louisville Times took about 26 men and placed 8th in the Miami contest with about an 82. It sounded like this.
I can give you anything, oh, I ain't got a barrel of money, honey. I can give you anything, though my love's a many splendid thing. I can give you anything, oh, I got plenty of nothing, but I got plenty of
They went on to finish 6th in 97 in Indianapolis, and they had several more kind of groundbreaking performances with Mark. Here's a little sample of 97.
Dear, when you sigh or when you cry, something brings very hard.
Solid 6th place right there.
Yeah.
All right, so they went on to finish sixth, and but they continued to sing and do some good stuff. In '98, giving it away here a little bit, Steve Armstrong and Chris Arnold were both music judges with Mark Hale, and from his influence and the influence of the Louisville Times, they formed the Toronto Northern Lights.
McEachran, top left.
Oh, that's a great picture. Where's the stick there?
Back to your songs.
1999, they debuted out on the international stage, and in 2001, they placed second. Along with Steve and Chris directing, came David McEachran, who became the leading kind of genius behind what they did visually, presenting a real presentation, which kind of set the groundwork for the performance category today. So here is 2001. So as we're watching this stuff, where did you come from, Parkside, and where are you going? Okay, what are your next steps? We've seen a lot of things where you came from, a lot of influences. In 2004, Clay Hine helped form another small little group. They ran a local project and had success immediately with a small, tight sound utilizing his excellent arranging style.
Listen to that voodoo melody. They shake their bodies so to and fro. With every shake, a lucky grapefruit, and there's some ways to chase all your cares away.
And in 2004, Ambassadors of Harmony won International for the first time with a groundbreaking performance of 76 trombones.
Of my rows and rows and rows of the finest virtuosos, the cream of every famous band, every band, 76
So we're starting to see the big and the small choruses all up in the top 5 to 10. As these groups popped up, there were several large cities that now started to understand that there could be more than one chorus in the same city, in the same area. The idea was spreading that two different groups could function and appeal to various demographics and needs of these cities. The mid-2000s, several young men, including your own Sean Devine, sang with the Masters of Harmony and had been introduced to recordings of the Louisville Times by Mark Hale. And inspired by this, they wanted to form a youthful new chorus with high standard audition, and the Westminster Chorus was formed and debuted in 2004 at the International. Won gold the first time in 2007, and they introduced an approach to singing that started to bridge the gap between barbershop singers and the classical choral world.
And when the sun trombone begins to slide, Roy would play that crazy rhythm and blues. So maybe that's got the population right. The shoes will be home, jumping, talking along. Everybody knows what it means. They'll be dancing in the streets of New Orleans. Oh yeah, come on now, I'll show you what I mean. What I mean.
So also in November 2006, the Kentucky Vocal Union was formed with a schedule that would meet only every 2 weeks. And not every week, like was used to by everyone. So the point was to make it more accessible for people with very, very busy lives. And that same year, Central Standard and 08 both formed. And by 2009, there were several small choruses under 40 men in the contest, including Vocal FX from New Zealand.
Hot fun, cool fun, even if it's old junk, still rock and roll to me. Well, it doesn't matter what they say, the famous cause has always been the same.
So, and in 2011, Kentucky Vocal Union took 30 men to Kansas City and became the smallest chorus ever to finish 6th. The next year, they took 39 men to Portland to finish 3rd, with 08 also medaling, finishing 4th. So coincidentally, this was the 2 directors, myself and Doug Harrington, had been tenors for the Louisville Times 20 years before. So here we go.
For looks you right between the eyes. You're paralyzed. You're
paralyzed. To this again, that's what we Now that wasn't the year we medaled, that was that was a couple of years later, but a lot of fun. Toronto Northern Lights, they went on though to win the gold in 13. And after their first contest in 99, Toronto had never finished out of the medals. They always finished in the medals. So that's a long track record for a small chorus, utilizing really just their amazing singing and presentation. By 2015, Central Standard had become a medalist competing with full force.
But just one look at what I got. I'm so happy with my life. Just look at what I got. See what
As an aging Sean Devine moved back to Hershey and met up with some of his good buddies, the story of Parkside Harmony began. And from what we watched tonight, we can see see how and from whom your leadership here has been influenced over the past years. Of course, this led to massive explosion on the barbershop scene with your first international in 2016.
Fly the ocean in the silver plains. See the jungle red with rain. Just remember to your home behind. How can you speak, baby? Won't you help me? Caught between and off of my list, but when you come and I can't hear at my door, it seems to give my heart.
So where do you go now? Well, where you do go now, and what you do next is really no longer bound by any societal norms or status quo or restrictions. You can do what you want. Parkside Harmony can do whatever you like. And you now appear as another standard, perhaps for future musicians to emulate. And we so look forward to seeing what you have in store for us. Thank you, and one last question.
Got there in the dark and beckoning candle. I can think, I can talk, I can stand, I can walk while I think, I can think while I talk, I can talk while I stand, I can stand while I can walk while I dream. Please let my dream come true. That is my dream, help me come true. Right now, let me come true.
Go Parkside. Congratulations. For the next 4 years.